Chinatown is steeped in tradition, from the restaurants to the shops to the culture. However, there's a new generation of restaurateurs that are bringing a more modern vibe to the area. One of the most highly anticipated is China Live, a food emporium in the style of Mario Batali's Italy in New York City. And today, we're gonna go check it out. Food halls and emporiums, with their holistic approach to artisanal foods, have long been popular in Europe and Japan, but have only recently taken off here in the US in the last decade or so. Food halls are like higher-end food courts, aggregating a huge variety of eateries and retail shops all under one roof, minus the common seating area, much like the Ferry Building here in SF. China Live is more of a food emporium with a laser focus on one specific genre, in this case Chinese, and going deep on the experiences offered. This 20,000 square foot facility was opened by veteran restaurateurs George and Cindy Chen, who opened the former Betelnut in the Marina and Shanghai 1930s in Findi. It's composed of 4 main areas: a tea bar, a retail space, a main dining or food hall, and an upstairs evening restaurant and bar that open at about 6 o'clock. This first downstairs entrance leads to the Oolong Bar Cafe with its gorgeous Chinese blue tile murals. At first glance, these all look like antiques until you look a little bit closer and you spot the Golden Gate Bridge and the Transamerica Building. Most of the teas served here are loose leaf, and they cost roughly about $5, which is on par with most craft coffees. To eat with your tea, there's a limited selection of their desserts and some tea biscuits. I've selected the herbal chrysanthemum tea, or zhuhua cha, made with floral chrysanthemum flowers. This is a popular tea that's also delicious, iced with rock sugar. Super fragrant. Yum. You can tell this is a very high quality tea, not only because of the color, you can see how deep yellow this is, but also it's very concentrated. Usually when I get chrysanthemum, it's sort of this very pale watery yellow, and there's only just a hint of the chrysanthemum flower flavor. And I'm having my tea with a little almond cookie. Yummy. That's more of a cakey cookie, and you can definitely taste the essence of almond in there very strongly. This second entrance brings you around to the retail space with all sorts of sexy grocery items and kitchen and barware. The items aren't purely Chinese though, and run the whole gamut of Pan-Asian wares. The non-food items are a mix of Asian imports and Western barware. This here is one of my favorite Chinese dishware makers. They're called Jia. It's sort of traditional Chinese cookware, but with a very modern twist to it. This one is a steamer. Got sort of a clay pot in here. All of these items, though, are either exclusive to China Live or can't be easily sourced elsewhere. There's also an educational element with free tastings of sauces and teas to help open up your palate. I love this super cute Chinese tea cabinet with all these teas inside. There's a red tea here, oolong tea. This one here is called 8 Treasures Tea. This one here is one of my favorites. I call this one Jasmine Pearl. These are actually little flower buds that are all dried and curled up, and when you put the tea in hot water, it unfurls. It looks beautiful, very fragrant tea. And I love this concept here. They sell a ton of seeds of traditional Chinese produce that if you can't find at your local farmer market or at the grocery store, you can grow them yourself. Quick pro tip, shop here first and you can earn a 10% discount towards your food bill. From both the cafe and the retail space, you enter the Marketplace Restaurant's inner warren of kitchen stations and dining nooks with its beautiful reclaimed Chinese elm and elegant white napkins and wine glasses. The cuisine is best described as modern Chinese with a farm-to-table California twist, meaning the dishes rotate and are tweaked based on seasonal availability. There's a giant open main kitchen which has an inside rather than the traditional outer-facing crab tank.
Adjoining this is the charcuterie station that pumps out delicious Peking duck and crispy skinned chicken. There's a dim sum station where two older ladies continually crank out the dumplings and take care of any noodle soup orders. A dessert bar that turns out some of the most beautiful fusion creations like green tea tiramisu and a black sesame cheesecake with ginger shortbread. The fifth station is a more casual bar called Bar Central with whimsical drinks like Trader Vic's Almost Original Mai Tai, created by Saison alum mixologist Andrew Keels. They also have an impressive wine and craft beer list curated by sommelier Tony Kim, formerly of the Redwood Room at the Clift Hotel.
You can either sit at one of these common tables back here or pull up a bar stool at one of the kitchen stations. You can even eat out in the Oolong Cafe. The menu here is quite pan-regional. There's a little bit of everything. They've got Peking duck, Xinjianbao, and Xiaolongbao from Shanghai. They have Shandong water dumplings, Sichuan spicy shrimp, and Taiwanese braised noodle soup, and 3-cup chicken, but this time they're using duck instead of chicken. Little condiments here. Got your vinegar, soy sauce, and up here your chili sauce. My drink here is gorgeous. It's called the Red Lantern, which is just hibiscus tea with a little bit of simple syrup in it. Also a variety of cold dishes. This one is one of my favorites. It's just cucumber, and they crush it and soak it in some vinegar and sugar and top it off with a little pepper. This is a Xinjianbao, or the pan-fried pork dumpling. Did you see that juice squirt out? Nice. The skin on this is perfect. It's really thin, and despite it having sat on the griddle there for quite a while, it's still fairly crisp on the bottom. This pork filling is also really nice. It's very light and airy. It's not dense like a meatball. I can taste pork and definitely a good dose of ginger in there. I'd say the seasoning is quite perfect on this. Highly recommend it. This is China Live's version of zhajiangmian, which is a common street food, and they call it here Marco Polo noodles, and they make it here with bucatini noodles. And I got the vegetarian version here, but normally it comes with ground pork, and there's some cucumber inside, and over here some green scallions. This here is the crackling skin Cantonese fragrant garlic chicken. This is a very special process for getting the crispy skin here. After they marinate the chicken, they hang it up to dry, and then they bake it to get it really, really crispy, and then put it in for the last deep fry. Let's take a bite. There's a great brine on the chicken, which makes it just so savory and pops. Can you hear that crunch? That's quite phenomenal. There's very little fat on it. The skin is nice and crispy. There's not that much meat on it, but what meat it has is super tender and flavorful. Another must-get dish here is the China Live signature Dungeness salt and pepper crab. It's so super fresh. It's still alive and swimming around back there in those little tanks before they serve it up to you in this dish. Delicious. Make sure you grab your little spoon and dig it all out. For dessert, I ordered the egg tart brulee, which is a modern take on traditional Chinese egg tart, or danta. This one comes topped with figs and some caramel. The fruit on top is great too, and they rotate the fresh fruit seasoning. And these are little bits here of dehydrated tea. It's a very subtle dessert here. In fact, most of the desserts here are very subtle. And as is the Asian way, not overly sweet. I love the custard on this, which has a soft, almost panna cotta-like texture to it. And to finish it all out, there's a nice little hot towel. There's also a higher end 8 tables by George Chen on the second floor, which will relieve you of a cool $225 per person for an 8-course tasting menu. There are only a lucky 8 tables, plus a special chef's table in the kitchen that costs $325 per person. There is this separate, secret, and mysterious entrance off Kenneth Rexroth Place, which is named for the famous translator of Chinese literature. Upstairs is the very sophisticated cold drink Scotch Bar, named after George Chen's childhood local bar, which was the only place that had ice. Although they have a fabulously curated list of Scotch drinks, they do also offer other cocktails as well as wine and beer. The drink to get here is the almost old-fashioned, made with a duck-infused Speyburn 10, Dickel rye, black pepper syrup, Angostura bitters, black lemon, and a candy cap bitter.
Why duck fat? The bartender let me sample one infused and one original Scotch to find out.
Number 1. Very smooth. Number 2. The duck fat really smooths out that flavor, makes it very mellow, like butter. For sure, the second one, you could taste that fire in the back of your throat. That's typical of Scotch. Chin chin. Delicious. And that duck fat really mellows out the Scotch and really brings forward the flavor of all the other ingredients in the drink. I can really taste the defined flavors of the bitters as well as the lemon. Superb. Between the tea bar, the retail store, the 5-station food hall, and the upstairs Scotch Bar and restaurant, you could literally spend all day here. And I hope you do. And I'll pitch in that the staff is very welcome and accommodating, so it's very easy to relax and feel welcome to linger. Leave me your thoughts on China Live and the latest food hall trend. Till next time, peace.